you have the mic plugged in while you're trying to do it too. It's just.
Are you, John? Can you mute your mic real quick?
It's me.
Yeah.
I would just use the webcam mic. The webcam has a built-in mic. This one's fancier. It has like this thing.
Well, your earphones don't have a mic?
Oh no,
I'm just saying. Not saying anything. You'd have to adjust your settings.
We can't hear you, John.
We can't. Yeah.
Yeah, you know what's so funny too is that going into this Thursday night game, we were, daily fantasy and everything. I was looking at the different players, and I'm just like, this is going to be such a crappy game.
What are you talking about for Giants versus
for Eagles? Yeah.
So, yeah, it's going to be one that I'm going to be watching the presidential debate. Put it that way.
But when there was no Thursday night football, I was a little upset. So
I didn't miss it that much because I had Tuesday. I think I was all right. Yeah.
We good?
Plus, then I got the idea of Patrick Mahomes and then the Cowboys right after. I was happy until I remembered that the Cowboys are the Cowboys. You guys just want to talk about players, or do you want to do a recap of the games at all?
Yeah, we can listen. We're doing it right now. We're doing it right now. You know what I mean? We're talking about, Cowboys. Andy Dalton, a lot of people thought he was going to come through and do something. A lot of people spent a lot of $5 on him. Okay. CeeDee Lamb, I know, saved me, at the end, made a couple plays. I think Dalton might be able to step it up. But I know one thing, Dak Prescott's at home right now like this.
What did I say? Tell them to bring me my money. Yeah!
They
better pay the man. They better pay the man. That's all I'm saying. Pay him because you see
trying to make his team. Everybody's trying to make his team as if you're gonna just plug in Dalton and somewhat similar, production. Albeit Zeke was coughing with the football like he played for the other team, but
Ezekiel Butterfingers
man threw the ball backwards. It was crazy. Super spreader. Jesus Christ.
Coughing the ball up. We got all of it.
When they say 7 fumbles in his last 13 games, that's terrible.
I'm like, give it to Pollard.
Yo,
man, he was barely doing anything. No, I was not impressed. Every time he dropped the ball, I was upset.
He did drop a pass. It's better to drop a pass than drop the ball when it's in your hand.
Yeah, seriously,
drop the ball.
I don't think that'll happen again for Zeke. If anything, he'll come out a little bit more hungry these next couple of weeks. So
yeah, I will say that I'd be less inclined to start Pollard if Zeke got hurt now that more and more of our offensive linemen are going down. Now we lost Zach Martin again, and that's not helpful at all to anyone. And it's going to be a rough, tough sledding if Pollard wants to get in there with those bums we got started.
We got you, John?
You back?
Yeah, I think so. As long as the feedback isn't too bad.
No, you good, player. You good?
So how you feel? How would you feel about that Monday night game last night? That Cowboys offense.
This whole weekend, first of all, I was already meltdown prior to the game, so I'm gonna keep it super G. I didn't watch it. I was fully in boycott mode. I was just trying to think of my exit strategy, like who can I give my login information so they can manage my fantasy teams and I could just pass the torch. I was ready to pull out, but I slept on it. Not well. I had nightmares probably. Just some blown matchups. It was just one of those, just real. It took me to a dark place, but I woke up today. I put on all black and just kind of owned it. Honestly, the heartbreakers, even the lows they hit so much harder than the highs. But just looking back at what happened this past weekend, I think Matt Ryan had a good game, was encouraging. He's someone I was getting questions about, and it was just all over the timeline. Is he finished? Is he done? What are we doing for Matt Ryan for fantasy? Do we trade him? And for me, it was as simple as Julio Jones wasn't there. You did trade him, and I bought him in a dynasty, but I think getting Julio back, the offense started clicking immediately. Matt Ryan had a kind of a blow-up game, 4 touchdowns, 371 yards. So
Good money,
that was
good
good
money.
to see. Yep.
Encouraging.
And now they're talking about blowing the whole thing up.
AJ Green, yeah, I heard that news, but AJ Green, I got to take my mini victory lap. Won't be a long one just because it's 1 week. That doesn't undo everything that he did prior to, but
you got out the starting breaks. You just gotta.
He had to just shake some of the rust off, and this was big. I mean, 8 for 11, 96 yards. Didn't score a touchdown, but still had a great game for fantasy. And on top of that, T. Higgins produced. So it wasn't just a game plan of we're only getting AJ.
T. Higgins is the man. Let's be very clear about that.
Yeah,
T. Higgins is
he's the one. He might literally be the one. Like from week to week, he just ascended, like over Tyler Boyd. I would think.
John, do you think that AJ Green is a flash in the pan, or is he going to start being a little bit more consistent in terms of production?
I think later in the season, their schedule seems to open up a little bit. I think week to week, Burrow getting more experience, I think is good. Where he came out slinging it off the rip, so I'm not worried about their offense really not being able to sustain AJ Green along with these other guys. I wouldn't call him a weekly start, but I think through bye weeks you could do worse. I would say.
Should he be on the waiver wire in a 12-team league?
Nah, definitely not.
Definitely not. All right, Pete, what do you think? You think your cousin is going to continue with his production?
I mean, I've always been on the AJ Green hype train until I fell off along Murray or Devontae Adams. But no, I definitely don't think he should be on the waiver, especially with a COVID-ridden year where waiver pickups and availability is hard to come by. Had him on my bench last week because he put up 0 points for me, and I'm pretty sure he outscored everybody on my starting wide receiver core. So that hurt, but I'm a fan of AJ Green. I don't think he's washed. I think he's older. I think they're starting to use him better than just trying to rely on his deep ball speed to go over the top of people, and instead they're actually giving them routes throughout the middle. Because anybody who watched the game can't question his hands; they can only question his speed and his durability. So as long as they use him correctly, keep using T. Higgins as the deep ball route, and continue to give AJ Green the ball throughout the middle, I think that'll help Joe Burrow and AJ Green's case going forward.
All right. What about you, Coach? How you feeling?
I've been on record for giving AJ Green a lot of flack, but teamed up with Burrow, Boyd, Higgins, Mixon, they're going to be playing from behind a lot. Burrow's going to be throwing the ball a lot. Is AJ Green the AJ Green that we remember that a lot of people drafted him as? Sometimes, do you know when you're going to start an AJ Green? Maybe, maybe not. But does he have enough value to be rostered in 12-team leagues? Yes. Strictly by name alone, even if you don't put him in the game, knowing if worst case scenario you can put AJ Green in the game, you won't feel like the worst owner in the world. So I'll give you that.
Okay.
Except like me last week when I had him in and he put 0 points.
That
was fresh after a pickup. You should have put him in. There's nothing wrong with that. I will say that I don't think he should be a free agent in 12-team leagues. I think he should definitely be on your roster. I'm more of a
in 12-team PPR league, standard league.
Yeah, standard league.
Standard league.
Now PPR league, definitely he should be on your team. I'm more of a matchup based start for him. I'll put him in my flex or wide receiver 3 spot. But give me
put him in any trade you can to get somebody good.
Yeah, and he's got trade value. If he goes up, somebody's going to want to buy him.
High as soon as you can. Right now, you're selling AJ Green immediately in Dynasty.
I think we can all agree that T. Higgins is the most valuable wide receiver on that team. But give me a one-word answer. Who would you rather have on your fantasy team, Green or Boyd? John, you go first.
Oh, Boyd.
Still Boyd. Just because I was higher on it. Oh, my bad. One-word answer. I like the Bengals, but I got a lot to say.
I mean, if you want to go, if you got something to say, go ahead. Please, go ahead.
Yeah, just Boyd. I think pre-draft rankings, he was there. I think he's safer week to week. He's been a little down, but there's steady production, and I think he's someone he gets used in the red zone. He's in the slot, and I think they kind of know how to maximize his usage. So I think he'll continue to produce. I think he's safe week to week, where AJ Green is going to be a little more boomer bust.
All right, Eric, I think I heard your answer, but if you'd like to say for the people in the back, Green or Boyd?
Hey, say for the people in the back. No, absolutely Boyd.
All right.
I always was high on Boyd, especially last year. You know, he's super talented. I think him and Higgins and Green are a very solid receiving core. I want to know where they rank in terms of 1, 2, and 3, a team's best 3 receivers, you know, on a team. You know what I mean? So I don't think – I think, you know, plus they all have, you know, decent size too. Like there's not a core who's also that tall across the board. You know, all athletic, all have hands, you know, add in Mixon however he wants to mix, get in the mix, I guess. You know, I know it's terrible. But Burrow and everybody, you know, they're a good squad, you know. But Ford is definitely the number 2 there.
All right. And Pete?
I would definitely say Boyd also. Oddly enough, and this may be a disagreement, I think Boyd has the safest floor amongst any of them.
I agree.
So, you know, you always want that guy you can rely on week to week. So I'd say Boyd.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that. Boyd is the most consistent.
Higgins, honestly, his upside is so crazy. I think that makes his floor a little safer for me. Like, knowing that Higgins can go off, I know even in that bad game against the Ravens, I didn't think anyone had any points in that game, but Higgins still, you know, damn near double digits in PPR. So it's like, if I had to start either one, obviously I'm going to go Boyd right now, but I feel like that's a lot closer than we think.
I'm T. Higgins to the moon. That man had 7 targets minimum for the last 4 weeks. Like, he's not touching the bench. A couple weeks ago, it was everybody pick up T. Higgins. Now it's everybody start the hell out of T. Higgins.
Yeah, every week. Yeah. Absolutely. All right. Pete, you want to go first?
Talk about I have a lot to get off my chest. Goddamn, John Brown broke my heart, killed me. John Brown coupled with Josh Allen not doing anything last night broke my heart, shattered it, murdered me. Gesicki with the 0. I mean, he was a late round tight end, so I guess you can't be too mad, but he's someone I had high hopes for. I think his usage in the slot, I expect him week to week to be safe and big 0. So the 3 of them are basically dead to me. Semi-trade off.
Those are your misses for this past week?
Big misses, yeah. They were all in my starting lineup. Ahead of Matt Ryan, ahead of Hayden Hurst, who scored a touchdown. So it's a lot of deep pain and regret on my end.
Who are your hits that you actually started?
Damn. In DFS, Derrick Henry was a big one.
Okay.
Which, I mean, he's a no-brainer. He's Derrick Henry. In fantasy, you're starting him every week. But I think, you know, week to week for DFS and DraftKings and everything, he's not someone I just plugged in just because he's Derrick Henry. I think the matchup looked good on paper. I think the Texans been giving it up in the run. And this man had over 30-something rushes, over 260 total yards, 2 touchdowns. So he just went nuclear. So that was a big one.
All right. Pete, who you got? Wait, give me your hit and misses, please.
Oh, man, it was a misfilled week for me last week. So, yeah, I have a few of them, but I'll just name a couple. In both redraft and daily fantasy, Madison kind of let me down. I was holding pretty tight with my running back heavy most of my redrafts, so I didn't necessarily need the running back, but Josh Jacobs was on a bye and felt comfortable. I thought I felt comfortable with having Madison fill that role in for this week, or 2 weeks if Cook's out, and I don't think he surpassed 5 points. So
yeah, I don't think
that was big, and I had him in every single daily fantasy lineup. So that one hurt. I also missed in daily fantasy and in real life, which it's hard to say you missed on, but Darrington Johnson, is that how you pronounce his name? From the Browns.
D'Ernest Johnson, yeah.
D'Ernest Johnson. However, you usually got to wait for the players to pronounce their names to get it right, because usually people on TV get it wrong all the time. But yeah, I missed out on him. Yeah, this is going for 2 weeks now. I didn't even start him this week, but I feel like we didn't have a show last week, and I think I blew most of my money, all my waiver positions for the 6 weeks or however Chubb's going to be out, because I thought he'd be able to fill in on some of these other teams I had, and that was my huge miss. As far as hits, I'm going to double up on this guy, so you'll be hearing about him later as well, but Irv Smith Jr. Irv Smith Jr., my guy I've been holding on to for a couple years now, even with the signing of Kyle Rudolph. But he actually finished for the first time in his career amongst the tight end ones in 12-team leagues.
There you go.
So it's a weird year for tight ends, but I thought that was pretty good. And he was definitely my one hit, and not only filling in for Darren Waller, but for daily fantasy, super cheap option as well.
Yeah, absolutely, most definitely. All right, Coach, what you got for me?
So I can only speak on the players that I, put on record. I tweeted this out. I try to make it clear, and I'm going to do this going forward. Who are the guys I feel like, are going to return the most value. I'm going to do all the ranges, but for this week, what I, put my name on was the under 4,500 club. Anybody on, daily fantasy was under, $4,500 that shouldn't be, or and they're going to return value that I think was either equivocal or beyond. So my list for that was DeAndre Swift, J.D. McKissick, Phillip Lindsay, Michael P. Ryan / Frank Gore, J.K. Dobbins, Randall Cobb, Jeff Smith, Austin Hooper, Eric Ebron.
Okay.
Now, DeAndre Swift obviously killed it. Like, for 4,500, 27 points PPR, had a great day. Buy low window is closed. You have to start him. J.D. McKissick, a solid 14.5 points. He looks great coming out the backfield. Looks like a natural receiver almost. If you're, desolate at running back, he's definitely a guy you want to pick up, especially primarily in PPR leagues. Phillip Lindsay, crisp 100 yards with Melvin Gordon out. He'll be back. Melvin Gordon's supposed to be back next week. I'm just glad he didn't. I forgot what's son's name from the Saints. Don't drink and drive, guys. Melvin Gordon, he'll be back, so we'll know what Phillip Lindsay's looking like. Michael P. Ryan and Frank Gore. Now, I've been high on P. Ryan. He's a rookie, so he might need a couple weeks. But Frank Gore hit double digits, so we gave that a yellow light, hit and miss on that one. J.K. Dobbins, I knew was a risky play. The talent's there. The opportunity's eventually going to come, and when it does, I expect those things to line up. He didn't have a good game. Randall Cobb hit double digits. Deshaun Watson was great out there. Once they got the O'Brien out the picture, really let Sun loose, so that's a good look. Jeff Smith is a guy I wasn't high on, but, the community was like, targets, the Logan Thomas story. So I threw him in the mix, like, hey, guys, let me take a word, and he was a dud, so that's the last time I'm doing that. Austin Hooper, double digits. He's been getting a lot of targets. The safety blanket for Mayfield because obviously he needs protection. And he's been actually pretty solid these last 2 weeks, so he was a hit. Eric Ebron was a dud. So all in all, we hit above 50%, a little over 60. I'm going to take away the risky ones next week, so we're going to try to get green across the board.
Oh, what fun is that?
Yeah, consistency is key, my man.
Yeah, I hear you. I'll go with
You got an asterisk with Jeff Smith. They misled you. And I knew you weren't really feeling him, but
who?
I guess the tie convinced you to give him a shot.
Yeah, I definitely wasn't feeling him, but everyone was like, he's getting targets, Eric. He's getting targets. So I was like, all right, put him in the mix, and it was a mistake. Like I knew.
Nah, even with Bashard Perriman coming back, I wouldn't have put him in there.
But I mean, for a stream, obviously, I'm not saying pick him up. Do not pick up Justin, especially pick up Denzel Mims if you're gonna pick somebody up on the Jets. Pick him up immediately.
And he was cheap in DFS too, so I definitely threw him
under 4,500. You know what I mean?
I think he was at like in the threes. Like he was.
Yeah, he was Basuda.
Yeah, he was really cheap, but I guess he was correctly priced.
But you need to do the high upside. Obviously, if you go, high players and you want to, spend cheap on a guy that might give you some upside, I feel like I owe the community to do justice to mention their boy.
No, I hear you.
I respect it.
You want to touch on Swift real quick?
Go ahead. He went off.
He's someone I have in a couple leagues benched just because, the snaps haven't been there. And even this past week, they weren't there. His snap share literally hasn't changed. It's just not that when he's on the field, he's getting bored. The ball.
You gotta check the ties, man. The ties are in motion. I've been hearing on my timeline all week about DeAndre Swift. All week, people were like, "This is it. This is the breakout week." I'm like, "You guys are right. This is the breakout week.
This is it."
I told it too, man. Like, all these players everybody has their moments. You know what I mean? Like, Claypool had his. I'll keep it G. I think Henry Ruggs is about to have his, but we're going to talk about that later. And I think just the way they were saying, especially against that defense, DeAndre Swift was in all of my lineups.
First off a bye week too, so this might really be the plan going forward. So yeah, it'd be cool to see how that plays out.
Most definitely. I say for my hits, I needed to stream a couple tight ends this week, so I'm going to shout them both out. I definitely started Trey Burton, which I was very happy about.
Okay.
He only had 5 targets, but he had 4 catches, 58 yards, turned that into a touchdown. Had run rush, turned that into a touchdown. And I also started Darren Fells, which is my boy.
Ooh,
you know that he got 8 targets,
good play.
had 6 catches, 85 yards, and a touchdown. That was a big hit for me. My miss, obviously, like John said, is definitely John Brown. That hurt. that hurt a lot putting him in. I also, in one league, took a very serious risk, and it didn't pay off for me. I sat DJ Chark and started McCall Hardman instead. Just to have the upside. And I was like, hey, man, it was a dart throw. I figured McCall Hardman was going to have a blow-up game. Didn't happen for me.
Wait, hold up. Is McCall Hardman universal? Is droppable in all formats?
I wouldn't say he's droppable in all formats.
Not in Dynasty.
We'll talk pickups later.
Is he droppable in redraft?
In redraft, it depends on how shallow your league is. But I'd probably say.
Is he droppable in 12-team redraft leagues?
He wants specific answers, clearly.
I have a very specific question.
Is he droppable in 12-team standard leagues, you said? On PPR?
PPR, 12-team leagues. Can you drop McCall Hardman?
He can be dropped. I made a mistake. I definitely started DJ Chark, but I started McCall Hardman over Adam Humphries. That's the player I was thinking. Adam Humphries.
You're mad at Adam Humphries.
It's much better. But Adam Humphries has a much safer floor, in my opinion, coming into this week than McCall Hardman. But I figured, I'll give it a shot. But that was definitely my miss for the week.
Speaking of Adam Humphries, is Corey Davis season over?
Nah, he's coming back from he got the COVIDity. I think he's coming back next week. Yeah. Okay. I think he's doing well. So let's get into waiver wire pickups. We can start with you, Coach. Who do you think should be on the top of your waiver wire priority?
On the top of my waiver wire priority list, and because I'm honest with you guys, because I care about the community. I know one of y'all snipers, no slighted, might try to pickpocket my pockets, but I'm definitely big on a couple of guys. One, Michael Pittman Jr. Got to go get him. He should be on a roster already, but coming off a bye in Indianapolis, this is like a preemptive pickup. I think, the lack of depth they had of a receiver, he's going to make an impact right away. I think he has the tools and abilities, the size to do it. But that was honestly my decoy waiver. The real one is JaMycal Hasty. JaMycal Hasty, if you need a running back, you need to go pick him up.
He looked good with those 9 carries, man.
He is going to be the man back there. I think he has the juice and the squeeze. I think he could be very talented. He's worth a shot, especially if you've been decimated at all the positions, especially that running back has been. And last but not least, J.D. McKissic. I know I mentioned him earlier. If you're in a PPR league, pick him up. He's averaging double-digit points. Antonio Gibson looks great out there, but he's not going to be on the field 100% of the time. And there's enough, meat on the bone for 2 running backs, especially pass-catching ones, who are going to be playing from behind as much as the Washington football team will be.
JD is the new Chris Thompson. Just think of it like that. He's the new Chris Thompson. Think of it like that. Chris Thompson was so reliable with those double-digit points, but just getting receptions in a PPR league, it's a no-brainer, like he said.
Most definitely. But go ahead, Pete. Continue. Who is your waiver wire priority?
Man, I mentioned him before. Irv Smith Jr. How when you wait for somebody to finally blossom, and even though he hasn't reached his ceiling,
right now.
he's finally at 59% of the offensive snap. Like I said, he finished tight end 1 this past week, and he's only 9% rostered. They got a bye week next week, so if you're in a tough spot with tight ends, then
I'm dropping Hayden Hurst right
pick him up. But if you do have a starter this week and you're going to need some, especially in Dynasty. There's no way he's free agent in Dynasty. But
he should never be a free agent.
If you're struggling.
Yeah, he's on someone's roster. Yeah, I'm in some leagues, man. He's unrosterable in my leagues.
And he's only 9% rosters overall. I mean, you're in some good leagues. My other guy would be Carson Wentz, which is weird. Going into the season, you wouldn't think. Carson Wentz is under 60% owned on Yahoo.
He's free agent in a couple of my leagues, yeah.
And he is currently top 10. He's a top 10 fantasy option in regards to points. He's top 10 in points. He's third in rushing touchdowns. You got to get him. I've slept on him. I started Teddy Bridgewater this past week, which was an awful decision over Carson Wentz, because everything looked so bad for the Eagles going in the beginning of the game, and then next thing you know, Carson is at 30 points fantasy. So if he's
Carson
still available,
Carson hits you with the Jameis Winston on Jameis Winston treatment.
Bro, I'm back at my dilemma between my quarterbacks, but I can say confidently going forward with Carson Wentz playing in the NFC East with a bunch of teams who no one ranks higher than 20th in defense, and he still only played one divisional game. So he had some easy games going forward. And then my honorable mention would have to be Michael Perrine. Because
bang bang,
I have him in a couple leagues, and Adam Gase, even though he's someone we don't talk about on the show, he came out of his mouth and finally said we need to get Perrine the ball more. So you can take that with a grain of salt, but if he's still available in your league, go grab him. Running backs are hard to come by. You might as well take a shot on him.
Okay. Who you got, John? No, you got Jay. Excuse me.
I got a couple. I'll touch on some guys that I definitely like this week, but I guess I'll start with more of a short-term fix. I'm gonna highlight Tim Patrick.
Yeah.
On the Broncos. 50% roster right now on Yahoo. They're banged up. Fenton has been out. Obviously, Sutton was out for the season. KJ Hamler has missed some time, so I think he's someone I've been sleeping on. Like, he's been having some kind of blow-up weeks, but at the same time, knowing that it's going to come to an end at some point, I have really slept on him. But I think this week, really, with potentially Fenton coming back, I think KJ Hamler also questionable. So we'll see how that plays out during the week. But just looking at his game log, he has 2 touchdowns in the last 3 games. 113 yards off 6 catches last week, 4 catches for 101 this week. So, if you have anybody on bye, I think you could do worse with a spot start.
Yeah, most definitely. I'll say on mine, I'll go with for the deep leaguers that I'm in all the deep leagues. I definitely say go get you some DeMarcus Robinson just to see. I mean, there are worse options out there. He played the most snaps. He was getting targets, and Sammy Watkins, Lord knows, can't be trusted. And McCall Hardman, and we just talked about how he's droppable. So go get yourself someone that has Patrick Mahomes throwing them the football. And I'll definitely say you should go get Boston Scott. I mean, if you need running backs, Boston Scott is definitely someone you should pick up if you need running backs and you're desperate, go get them. I say that. And I see that Justin Jackson is only 50% owned in fantasy leagues. I mean, if with all these injuries happening to all these running backs, I mean, I feel like these people should be at least rostered to wait and see. There's a lot better options, obviously. And if you need to pick up any of these players, you need to draft better. But they're available, and if you need them, go get them.
No, I definitely hear you.
If you're digging this deep, mind you, keep in game. This is like deep league stuff. This is not too deep. I mean, obviously Henry Ruggs, for example, he's only 50% owned. I think he's gonna have a little, coming out party. I mean, even against Tampa Bay, who has a very stout pass defense. They don't play when it comes to the pass. Carlton Davis and Antoine Winfield Jr. and the linebackers they have, it's no joke. And I think because of that, I'm expecting them to have a lot of things in the playbook ready for Ruggs coming off a bye week to kind of catch those boys off guard. So I wouldn't be surprised if he has a big game, but that's for another conversation.
But definitely, I agree with Matt on the Boston Scott. They pretty much already said that Miles Sanders is not playing Thursday Night Football. He's playing against the Giants, whose defense is, their run defense is better than their pass defense. But if he's going to be able to start and get the bulk of those carries and dump offs from Carson Wentz, who I just put on my ad list, and just know you're not likely getting more than one good game out of him. So don't go ahead and use your number one waiver on him. But if he's just sitting there for you to pick up for cheap, and you need a spot start for this Thursday because you got some injuries, and if you're a Miles Sanders owner, it's a no-brainer. Pick up Boston Scott,
Yeah.
start him, and keep
Oh yeah,
using.
for sure.
Most definitely. All right. Well, John, we'll go with you with the. Go ahead, please.
Yeah, I had another guy I wanted to highlight, just Dallas Goedert, where I think it's still a little bit early, but I think now's the time to strike. But you don't want to wait until he's fully back practicing. He's definitely in the game, because someone's going to grab him. He's currently 41% rostered, so there's a good chance people are holding on to him. Definitely in Dynasty, I don't think he would have touched the waiver wire, but with Zach Ertz being ruled out, with their pass catchers just being banged up like for life, it seems, I think this might be the Dallas Goedert show once he gets back out there. So we already know what he does in the red zone, but I think him now getting even a bigger chunk of that offense with Zach Ertz going down, he's going to come back and he's going to go off. So
most definitely.
Yeah.
They need somebody. They're going to need somebody, definitely. But go ahead, John, continue and tell us about Thursday Night Football. We were just talking about the Giants and the Eagles. Tell me about your DFS plays for that night. What you got? Who should we grab?
That's a big game. I'm going to say this with like medium level confidence, because it's just both defenses have been less than desirable. I think both offenses have been a mess. Offensive line for the Eagles has been pretty tragic. Daniel Jones out there turning the ball over. But just looking at who's available, I think Deshaun Jackson is someone who isn't going to have high ownership, I would think, in DFS. Currently, if you're looking at the captain games, he's, I think, 5,600 on DraftKings. So it's a good discount. He's someone who could definitely produce. We've seen him do it against the Giants. Plus, the Eagles have the game at home, so I like those odds. And I think with him coming off the injury, too, I think people are going to be a little nervous about putting him out there. So.
Yeah, I hear you. What you got for me, Coach?
I got one man and one man only. We're going to dance to one song and one song only. Jalen Reagor. He's coming off of IR. He is.
This week? He's playing Thursday?
Yes. Hold up.
Oh,
news to me. Double check my Googles. You know what I'm saying? But
I think he's off IR, but that means he can start returning to practice.
Yeah, let me check that right now.
Let me see.
Who hasn't told me anything?
For the Thursday night matchup.
That's what it's saying. Dallas Goedert and that's what it's saying.
You know what I mean? So if Jalen Reagor is playing, then you put him in every lineup that you can think of. Not except I'm not saying starting right away in your strictly DFS. I'm gonna stream him. I'm gonna, obviously I'm not, I obviously don't. He's on a smash play, but he's somebody who I'm keeping my eye on very closely up until kickoff, because I fully believe if he's in the game playing.
I think he's gonna get.
You don't bring a guy off of IR to decoy him.
Yeah, I know, but he's more of a deep threat. I'm just worried about his legs being under him. I mean, let's see. We shall see.
How old
That's
is he?
how they used him.
20 years old. I'm not. His legs is fine, man. He ain't AJ Green.
Injuries is injuries. I don't know.
He's not AJ Green, bro. He's a young man. He's fine.
Well, I'll say. I don't like any of these players. This wasn't
the segment that I was really prepared to do right now. I'm not even putting my money in that game.
I guess I'll say
Golden Tate.
I'll say Golden Tate because Slayton's out, Shepard's out, and Evan Ingram has been underperforming, to say the least. So
Caden Smith might be an option. Caden Smith has been
for some value. Yeah,
you know what I mean? Here's a guy that I know has touched the football before, and may have a high propensity to touch it again in the future.
And a player that I do not like, but I mean, if you're getting deep and your roster is top heavy, you need somebody that's cheap at the bottom. Plug in Deion Lewis. Why not see what he can do against the Eagles defense? I mean, why not?
This all sounds too guessy. I'm not playing. You know what I mean? Honestly, if you don't trust this game, live to fight another day.
The game is terrible. I'm not putting any of my money on the Giants.
But keep it G. These are the games where if you can find those guys, it's easy. You know what I mean? Because everyone else is thinking, Deion Lewis. That's not saying he might actually play well, but keep an open mind when you think about this. I think of the guys that are have been healthy or just have a lot of upside. You know what I mean? I'm really big on Reagor. If Goddard's back, look for Goddard. Don't be afraid of guys coming back off injury, because those are the guys that are needed the most. Those are the guys that are going to be relied on. Okay, you're back. We need you to play. This isn't, we're back. Let's put some training wheels on you for 2 weeks. Like, this is football. Like, you get out there's no half stepping. If you see him on the field, play them.
I hear you. I do think that Deion Lewis has more upside than Caden Smith, and he's cheaper.
Hell yeah.
But
honestly, I didn't even realize there's probably no one on that field worth more than 5,000. So I don't think money should be an issue. I might put in IR and Saquon Barkley for motivational spirit.
Why not? Save yourself the trouble. Y'all got any last notes? Y'all want to plug in?
CeeDee Lamb saved my life yesterday. I won by like a third of a point. Like, it was crazy. Shout out to him. Andy Dalton, you did literally just enough. Don't ever scare me like that again. Michael Pittman Jr., I think, if you need a receiver, he might be a guy to look at coming back. Visca Chenault had a down game. That's my guy. Gardner Minshew, tank for Trevor if y'all have to, because we need an answer. I don't think it's Minshew.
And Jets are like, hey, speak for yourself.
Yeah, right.
They're going to get him.
CEH heard the chatter. Man, I think he got, we hit a lot of things tonight, I feel like this has been a busy week of football, we're kind of enjoying it, so, rocking us.
Yeah, no, I was going. John, you got any last notes for the people?
No, I was looking at this Thursday matchup again. I realized Travis Fulgham, the guy who I just pretended didn't exist for like the past 4 weeks.
He's definitely still like 39% available in a lot of leagues.
He's been making plays. I think we just don't underestimate how broken the Eagles are. Like, I'm just like, this is a 1 week thing. They're gonna come back, and just nobody wants to come back. It could be because they're trash.
And it's crazy to think that, like, who was going to take his spot? Jalen Reagor's coming back, but Deshaun Jackson comes back. I'm not trusting him. Alshon Jeffrey is done. Yeah. He's retired, in my opinion.
I don't know. I don't even know why he's a jersey on. He's a wide receiver coach.
He's a big body.
I'm gonna keep
plays on the outside.
See, that's the same logic that had you thinking AJ Green could still ball. Alshon Jeffrey is washed.
Yeah, he's been washed.
Benito.
He's the cleanest person I know. He's super washed.
Mr. Clean. I don't even know why he has a jersey on.
This sounds like we should be playing Alshon Jeffrey if he's in this Thursday.
That's what it sounds like, though. That's the way we're trashing.
You heard it here first. Play Alshon Jeffrey.
Captain.
Start Alshon Jeffrey as your captain in these showdown lineups. You heard it here first.
Is he back this week? Is he definitely back?
If he is, you have to play him because he heard us talking shit.
He heard no choice.
He heard us. Speaking of heard us talking shit, Will Fuller heard us talking shit.
He did. He's very consistent every week. He's the number one.
Man, I have a bet with Pete. I wish he was still on the line about Will Fuller outperforming OBJ. Play well week one, of course. It probably is. He played well week one. He wheelchaired week 2 and then has been back, baby. Been back. I told y'all Chase Claypool was coming for Juju. And now let's go.
Will Fuller's definitely outscoring.
I'm sorry.
Will Fuller is definitely outscoring Odell as of right now. Yeah, even if it's close at the end, Eric would still technically be right because he said he's taking Fuller at that ADP over Odell.
Ooh, and that means I got a buffer. Oh.
And you know what's crazy though? What's so funny though is that just like Alshon Jeffrey heard us, so is Will Fuller's hamstrings. They are listening right now. they are full alert. Yeah, they are ready. They're
trusting me. They're trusting me.
It's like they know the percentage of rosters starting lineups he's in. Oh, he's in 100% starting lineups. Hamstrings activate.
I guarantee. I want hamstrings active. I swear. And once that start percentage goes over 74, the hamstrings just start swinging a little twins.
Do what you do best, baby. Do what you do. Hey, keep starting. I'm gonna keep starting.
You got to always start Will Fuller. Yeah. Shout out to Cole Kmet, top 10 tight end, baby. Let's go.
Stop.
Cole Kmet.
Straight to he got 2 catches. He's straight to the top 10.
Truther. Cole Kmet, Truther in the building.
Huh?
Oh, I said, was one of those a touchdown? One of those.
Yeah, one of those definitely touchdown. It was early on touchdown.
First off, we only catching touchdowns. We don't need to touch the rest of the field. If it's not painted, we're not touching it. Straight like that.
Top 10.
Top 10.
Oh God. Well, I will say that like I said, Thursday night's game is not one we want to watch, but I mean it's football, so we'll have it on.
Before we part, I need a quick opinion on this segment right here. Okay.
Oh yeah, what's up?
Now, I can't imagine if that's going to be. I don't know. I don't know what.
I will say whoever number 8 was needed to get closer. He needs to be up in there to make sure there's no 2 pumps. You got to make sure.
For real. How do we feel about Kenny and Drake against the Cowboys?
It's about.
Oh yeah, that's definitely the Derrick Henry video, by the way.
Yeah, that was 100% Derrick Henry.
Every week.
It's about time he stepped up.
He popped some wide open. He just hit holes and they blocked it up, and he was wide open late in the game when people were uninspired. So I'm not buying too much into it.
Well, I will say the people who started Chase Edmonds are upset. Nobody's happy to start Chase Edmonds. I had him as my captain in that game for the DFS. I thought he was going to go crazy against our terrible defense.
I have a question: are we concerned about Cam Newton?
Nah, I wouldn't say I'm concerned. I mean, Broncos defense doesn't really scare me, but am I concerned about Cam Newton? I'm going to say no.
I would keep him on my team, but I wouldn't assume he's going to
keep it with you. That answer sounded awfully concerning.
No, because honestly, it's not even about. I'm not concerned about Cam Newton himself. I'm more concerned about the weapons around him. He has no tight end. He essentially has 1.5 wide receivers, if you want to count Edelman as a full 1, and Harry is 2. I mean, James White is obviously the best player on that team. We've known that for years. But the weapons around him is what really concerns me. Cam himself, no.
So N'Keal Harry droppable in all redraft formats?
Yeah, I don't have him on a single team for a reason. I'm good on that. Miss me with that.
So if you have N'Keal Harry,
I definitely don't have him. If he touches the waiver wire, it's not going to perk me up.
Yeah, he's not gonna get in my waiver claim. I'll maybe pick him up if his plus sign goes green. I'll consider it.
Damn, N'Keal Harry. Well, if you have N'Keal Harry.
For real though, get him out of here. Well, that sounds like it wraps it up. You guys, this was real. It's good. Are any of us playing each other this week in any league? Are we actually going to be able to relax and enjoy football?
Yeah, for real. I'm playing my cousin, and his team is in first place, so it's going to be a battle, and it's going to be.
It's not going to be in first place anymore once you beat him. Just know that.
Talk to me. Hey.
I got Bennett already. Bennett already messaged me about our matchup. So we shall see what happens. His team is undefeated. So just call me David. We'll see what happens. We'll see what happens.
All right, man. Appreciate y'all, man. Be safe.
Yeah, it's real. Keep it real. We're gonna do this again soon. You know that.
I already know, man.
Video.